What's up guys, today we'll be comparing the iPhone 7 to the LG G7. So these are two very nice smartphones coming in at the $200 price point. You can get the iPhone and the LG G7 on eBay for a little bit cheaper, but if you want to go the safer route, just go on Amazon. The links will be down below. Now taking a look at the hardware, both phones, starting with the iPhone, you have an aluminum design, and it's a very nice looking design, a single camera, flash, little glossy Apple logo. This is the matte black, so it doesn't get a lot of fingerprints. On the side you have the power button, and on the other side you have the volume rocker and the little mute switch right here. Down below you actually have dual speakers with the charger port. Now with the G7 you also have the same premium design, dual camera setup, fingerprint scanner. The G7 is a little bit glossy, as you can see. Kind of shows fingerprints, but not a lot on this red model. And it's a very nice feeling phone. As you can see, it's much bigger than the iPhone. Kind of dwarfs it. And you've got the power button on the side, along with the Google Assistant button, and also the volume rockers. Now down below you have the single firing speaker, USB Type-C, and this model keeps the headphone jack, which the iPhone 7 does not. Both these phones are IP certified, so if you get them wet they will not break instantly, which is very nice. Now for the display, you have a 1440p display on the G7. It's very nice. It's a 6.1 inch, and on the iPhone you have a 4.7 inch 720p display, and it is a 4.7 inch. So as you can see, the G7's display is actually just much better when it comes down to PPI and just overall the screen resolution. Now as far as watching media, it's going to come down to your preference. Overall the resolution is better on the G7, colors look better, it's overall the better display for media consumption, but if you like smaller displays, then that's going to be your choice. Now let's go ahead and check out the speaker quality on both, starting with the G7. Very good, very sharp. This is one of the best single speakers in any smartphone. It's really nice. So let's go ahead and check out the iPhone stereo speakers. So that's very impressive. I actually prefer the G7 speaker. It's just as loud as the iPhone 7's, which is why I say it's so impressive. One of the best single speakers, because just listen. They're basically almost identical. And I think the G7 is actually a little bit louder in my opinion. So very impressive on the G7 side. So as far as software goes, you have iOS 13.2 on the iPhone 7, the latest version, which is very impressive. You also have Apple's A10 chip, from my gaming test, you're able to play most games on high. I was able to play Call of Duty and also PUBG on high settings, which is very nice. So you also have no SD card support, and you're stuck with the 32 gigs of storage, also 2 gigabytes of RAM, but with iOS it's very optimized, so I've never really noticed any lag with the iPhone. Now with the G7 you have Android 9 Pie, the Snapdragon 845, and the Adreno 630. Now from my experience, this plays everything on high as well, even Fortnite, which the iPhone cannot play on high. It can only play that on low. So the G7 overall has the better specifications as far as the CPU and GPU goes. You also have micro SD support up to 1 terabyte, which is very awesome, so you'll never really run out of storage with this guy. 64 gigs of storage and 4 gigabytes of RAM. So let's go ahead and run the speed test. I went ahead and cleared out all applications, so let's get started with just something simple like the App Store and the Play Store. 3, 2, 1. G7, much faster actually. Let's go ahead and try YouTube. 3, 2, 1. G7. Oh well, look, the iPhone caught up. Let's try Call of Duty Mobile. 3, 2, 1. iPhone is just blazing fast, that A10 chip. I didn't think it would beat it. Honestly, let's try it again. I really didn't think. I'm thinking if did I hit it too fast? Try it one more time. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, see, it's just a tad bit faster. But like I said, you will be able to play all games on high, unlike the iPhone. Yeah, that A10 chip is just fast. And you also have to remember that they do optimize applications on iOS a little bit better. So, you know, it is what it is. But like I said, this is still the faster CPU and GPU for gaming. Cameras. So, 16 megapixel standard on the G7 and a 16 megapixel ultra wide. You also have an 8 megapixel selfie camera as well. So on the iPhone you have a 12 megapixel wide that actually shoots in 2160p 30 frames per second, which is very nice. The G7 also does as well. You also have a 7 megapixel selfie camera. Let's go ahead and check out some photos because it's pretty interesting. Now here we have the outside with the picture of the trees, and the G7, like always, when you take pictures outside, it gives you like a really weird colors on here, like really vibrant colors on here. That's not really true to life. The colors are a little bit too punchy, and the iPhone is just kind of normal and looks a little bit more accurate. So that's one weird thing about the G7. You have to do some image correction, but as far as detail, the G7 does have better detail than the iPhone. As you can see, if I zoom all the way in, I can get more detail on the G7. So it's just that color on the G7, which is kind of weird. Now, as far as indoor shots, I prefer the G7. Definitely indoors, it does better with the white balance and with image sharpness. As you can see, color accuracy is better. It's not all faded out. So the G7 definitely has better cameras. I took this under these white lights, and as you can see, the G7 was able to handle that color accuracy, and the iPhone kind of washed it out a little bit. Now the iPhone's front-facing camera, in my opinion, is better than the G7. The G7 gives off some really soft images, not bad at all, but the iPhone 7 is just a little bit more true to life, and I just like the sharper detailed images. So it's pretty impressive, that front-facing camera. Both these phones have NFC, so you will be able to do mobile payments, which is very nice. So they both have really fast fingerprint scanners, and you can also use Face Unlock on the G7 if you prefer. Just know that it's not going to be as secure. As you can see, pretty instant. iPhone, pretty fast as well. So fingerprint scanner and getting into the device, you have more options on the G7, which is very nice. So as far as battery life, the iPhone really can't compete with the G7. You have a 1060 milliamp battery, which from my test gives you about 4 to 5 hours of battery life if you're a power user. Now on the G7 you have a 3000 milliamp battery, and you're getting about 6 to 7 hours of battery life if you are a power user, which is very nice. So you have wireless charging on the G7 as well, and you do not have wireless charging on the iPhone 7. So that is a nice perk with the G7. So both of these phones are really good. You got some good trade-offs with both. But you know, if it were my money, I would go with the G7 if you're looking for a phone for 2020 to go into, unless you're into the Apple ecosystem. Like that's very important to consider. You know, if you really need to use iMessage, FaceTime, and stuff like that, those are very important. Or if you just prefer the App Store, or whatever the case is. So if you're dependent on those, and you know your friends are using mostly iPhones or whatever, then you might want to consider the G7. If you don't care about any of that, and you just want the better phone for this price point, then the G7 is definitely the phone to get. So thanks for watching. I will catch you guys in the next one.